Today's lesson is all about ghost notes and how you can use them in your own grooves.
Art of Drumming is not just a YouTube channel, but also a free platform where you can find numerous drum-related courses filmed by major international artists. Head on over and join our growing community.
Hey, it's Andy here with ArtOfDrumming, and today I want to talk about one of my favorite and also one of the most common tools to use in grooves to make them more interesting. And those are ghost notes. Let's start by explaining what ghost notes are. And it's pretty simple. While you have the loud backbeat in your regular groove, all the small little quiet notes played on the snare in between are ghost notes. Let me just give you a quick example of a groove with a loud backbeat and some small little ghost notes in between. Now, as you've just witnessed, those little ghost notes really add a lot of texture to the groove and make the groove a lot more interesting. Now, a thing to keep in mind when you want to use ghost notes yourself is that you really have to make sure that there is a difference between your loud backbeat accents and the ghost notes. And maybe the most obvious difference is that the path, the way that your stick has to travel with your backbeat, where you want your accent to be, you want to have a loud stroke, is a lot wider, a lot bigger than with your ghost notes, where you just stay down here and try to keep it as quiet as possible. Because the bigger the difference between your quiet ghost notes and your loud backbeats is, the better the accents will stand out. So now, let's start with the first exercise to get you going with ghost notes. The easiest and also one of the most common exercises to get started with ghost notes is that you play an 8th note groove with 8th notes on the hi-hat, and you simply fill in the missing 16th notes with your left hand on the snare. Now you will end up with a hand-to-hand 16th note pattern. And now to incorporate the backbeat, let's move the right hand from the hi-hat to the snare so that you don't have 3 strokes in a row with your left hand. Let me just quickly play this example, just right hand, left hand with the accent with your right hand. Now, to convert this exercise into a groove, simply add a bass drum figure, let's say on basically 1 and 3, a bass drum hit, and let's check out what this sounds like. Now, within this exercise, you already have a lot of material that you can start working from. For example, if you only take single hits of those ghost notes, you can come up with a lot of different figures that you can use for your grooves. For example, one of the most sampled and most famous grooves ever, the Amen break, uses only ghost notes that you've already played within this exercise. So let me quickly just demonstrate this groove for you. Now, if you're getting started with ghost notes, in the first step you should avoid having ghost notes directly in front or directly after your accent. But now, in the next 2 steps, we will go through exactly this scenario and I will tell you what motions you need to get this going. So the next thing you need to get going if you want to take it one step further is having a ghost note directly in front of your accent of your backbeat. For this scenario, the motion you need is actually pretty simple. While preparing your big backbeat hit, you're playing a silent ghost note during the time that your hand is lifting up to prepare the stroke. Might take a while to get comfortable with this motion, but once you've mastered this, it's gonna open up a lot of possibilities for you. Let me just quickly play the left hand, a ghost note right in front. Once again, make sure that the ghost note is a lot quieter than your main hit, your backbeat hit. Now, to give you an example of a groove where you need this exact motion, I'm gonna demonstrate it with the song Ace of Aces by the Fearless Flyers. You might have seen our Recreating Iconic Drum Sounds video on Wolfpack. If not, make sure to check it out. Pascal's playing this exact groove and he really makes use of this motion all the time. So let me show you this groove just quickly. Now, having all the positions you had before with those 16th note exercise in your arsenal, and now adding the position right in front of your accent, you already have a lot of options to come up with your own ghost note grooves. But now there's still one position missing, and this is directly after the backbeat. So let's check out how this works. Now you might have already recognized this groove from Toto's song Rosanna, maybe one of the most famous drum grooves ever, and also, when it comes to using ghost notes and grooves, a perfect example of a great and creative way to use ghost notes. The first thing to mention here is that we're playing a shuffle. So there's not the basic 8th note pattern and we're filling in 16th notes. It's a triplet-based pattern with the first and the last, the third triplet played on the hi-hat. And the note in between is always filled in by a ghost note. Let me just quickly demonstrate this hi-hat and ghost note figure. So now, if you want to add the backbeat to this groove, you end up in the situation where the backbeat sits directly in front of one of those snare ghostings. So now you need a different motion from what we've dealt with before. And this one is actually pretty simple. You just play your backbeat and you use the rebound to get a little second stroke afterwards. Make sure to take your time to get familiar with this motion and that you really control this little rebound stroke coming afterwards. You don't want it to happen at some time, you really want it to be in time, right where you need it. And also, you don't want to end up with 5 little strokes afterwards. Make sure it's only one and it's right where you want it to be. Now, with this sorted out, this is basically the foundation of the groove for Rosanna. So let me just once quickly play this groove for you with the bass drum added. Now with those 3 little tools, first one being your left hand filling in the 16th notes between your 8th note hi-hat pattern. Second one was having a ghost note right in front of the backbeat. The third one was having the ghost note right after your backbeat. With those 3 tools, you have a lot to choose from when it comes to designing your own grooves and making your grooves a little more interesting. If you want to take this one step further or even 3 or 4 steps further, make sure to check out ArtOfDrumming.com, where we have a lot of great drum courses waiting for you. For example, there's one course by Joost Nickel where he goes into detail a lot more about ghost notes. Now, what are your favorite exercises regarding ghost notes? And also, what are your favorite grooves with ghost notes in them? Let us know in the comments, and make sure to subscribe to our channel for more lessons and recreation videos in the future.